Welcome members to this presentation. This class. It is Team Economics presenting demand and supply topic, an exciting topic. Before I go further, let me let you know members in class. We have Gracia as me, the presenter, Angwaria Joel, and Okwir Thomas. Okwil Thomas, you're most welcome. Are you on?
Yes.
Okay, good. In our first view of the first slide, here present to you some design. I can see there are some people moving around the shopping market. Some are with the trolls pushing the goods they've already bought. And you can see there is a supermarket with variety of goods. And so you people, according to the way you're seeing, whom do you think is buying? Joel?
The people with
Okay, yes, Thomas?
the people pushing the trolley.
Oh, yes, the people pushing the troll, actually, they are demanding, they are buying some goods. As you can see, they have some in the basket. And where are they getting them from? Joel, can you tell us where do you think the goods are getting them from? You unmute and tell us. Unmute.
Yes, I can see there's a man standing near the kiosk. That's where the goods are sold.
Okay, thank you for that insight. Or you can see there is a supermarket. People are getting goods from the supermarket and are taking them away. So this whole picture will help us now to analyze what demand and what supply is. In following what we have seen, in simple words, the term supply refers to how much a certain product, item, or commodity or service suppliers are willing to make available, just like you have seen these goods were made available for sale at a particular price. Whereas demand refers to how much of that product, item, commodity, or service consumers are willing and able to purchase at a particular price. There has been variety of goods in this shop, but these people have gone on to choose specific, meaning they are willing to buy those specific goods at a certain price that they can afford. So after understanding what demand and supply is, let's look at now what we call the supply curve. The supply curve is mainly the relationship between the quantity of a good that producers are willing. Is a curve that shows the relationship between the quantity of a good that producers are willing to offer at its price. From the supply curve illustrated here aside, we are seeing at a lower price, there are few commodities being supplied. As the price increased to $3, also the quantity supply increased to 15 units. So as the price keeps going high, the quantity supply also increase, meaning we can make a conclusion from this graph that the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied, or the higher the supply. Thus, will take us to the law of demand in the next, as we shall look in the lesson. So what we should note here about the supply curve is just the relationship between the quantity of a good that the producers are willing to offer at its price. So also the demand curve illustrates the relationship between the quantity of a good that consumers are willing to buy and its price. So we would just get to know that the supply curve and demand curve are inversely, which means for the supply curve, as the price increases, more of a commodity is supplied. But for the case of demand curve, it is different in a way that for the demand curve, the higher the price, the lower the demand. That's just like we've seen here. At price P naught, what demanded was Q naught. Whereas when price reduced to P1, the quantity demanded increased to Q1. So we can make a conclusion that from the illustration, it's clear that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Members, are we following?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, having that knowledge of what supply is, demand is, the demand curve and the supply curve, now we are going to look at the equilibrium at a point where everything is equal. Equilibrium is where supply and demand intersect or meet each other, determine the market price and the quantity. This can be due to the forces of demand and the supply. As the price increases, the quantity demanded is low. And again, as the quantity demanded, the price reduces, the quantity demanded is high. And for the side of supply, as the price increases, the quantity supply increases. And as the price lowers, the quantity supplied lowers. So there comes a point where that such a pull and pushes forces of supply and demand reach to a time where they come into agreement and have to meet at a certain point, that at a certain price, this is what the quantity supply or quantity demand will be. And that's what we call equilibrium in economics, or the market price and the quantity of goods. So let's also look at an important aspect of shift in supply. A shift in supply means a change in the quantity supplied. It can be either to the left or to the right. And there are factors hereby justify whether it will go to the left or to the right. As you remember, we said that in supply, the higher the price, the higher the quantity supplied. And the lower the price, the lower the quantity supplied. So, resource price. What do you think will happen when the price of a commodity increase? Will supply go to the left or to the right?
The supply will go to the left.
Very good. Going to the left means a decrease. It means there will be a reduction. And when the price increases, automatically it will shift to the right. Technique of production. Improved techniques of production, such as skilled manpower, will lead to the increase in production, which will later lead to increase in supply, shifting the curve to the right. And the opposite is where rudimentary techniques or technology is being applied, it will lead to a shift in supply to the left, or decrease in production that leads to decrease in supply. The price of other goods. In case the price of other goods increases, in case the price of other goods increases, automatically the supply of the other commodity whose price has not or has remained stagnant or has not have any change in increase, it will have to shift to the left. It will have to decrease in its supply, quantity supplied. Whereas if the price of a good increases in favor of other goods, then its supply shifts to the right. Taxes and subsidies. In favorable government taxes encourages production. And when production increases, supply increases, shifting the curve to the right. However, high taxes, non-subsidy, discourages production, which lead to the decrease in production, hence a decrease in quantity supplied, shifting the curve to the left. Price expectation. In case like producers anticipate for an increase in the price of a certain commodity, they will supply more. But however, if they anticipate for a decrease in the price, they will have to reduce the supply, shifting it to the left. The number of sellers in the market. Where there are many sellers in the market or suppliers, the quantity supply of that commodity will increase. However, in a case where there are few suppliers or sellers in that market, the supply of that commodity will have to do what? To reduce, shifting it to the left. The supply shock. The supply shock, this unfortunate or abruptly decrease in the production of a certain commodity or supply. Like what we saw the other time when there was a shock in the fuel due to external factors like the war in Ukraine. There was immediately a shock that led to what? To decrease in the supply of fuel. But however, in case the supply shock is favorable, where there is abundance, then the supply curve will have to shift to the right because there will be an increase in the quantity supplied. So next, we are also going to look at shift in demand. A shift in demand means that at any price and at every price, the quantity demanded will be different than it was before. Following is an example of a shift in demand due to an income increase. So we can also look at the factors that cause a demand curve to shift. Income of the buyer. As we have seen, the income of the buyer plays a very big role in the demand. When the buyer has a substantial or has experienced an increase in the income, then their purchasing power will have to what? To rise and will demand for more goods. But however, in a time of economic recession, where people have money or cash is scarce, income is scarce, then they will not be having, the purchasing power will have to reduce, which will lead to a decrease what? In the quantity demanded. Consumer trends. There are periods where people demand for goods and other time they don't demand for goods. Like for example, the Christmas cards are going to, the demand trend for them are going to increase what? In December, where it is time for Christmas festivals. But right now, the trend is still low. So that explains also the cause of demand curve to shift. Expectation of future price. So where consumer expect a future a future decrease in the price, they will have to decrease in their demand, expecting for the price to decrease and then they demand more. But if again they expect the price to rise, they will demand for more goods currently so that they are not affected by the increase in the price in the future. The price of related goods. E.g., for example, this is Amara jelly, and this is carrot. But all of them are lotions. They serve the same purpose. So they are related goods. So if the price of carrot decreases, the quantity demanded of Amara, whose price has remained high, will decrease. And if the price of Amara decreases and for carrot remains high, the quantity demanded for this carrot as a lotion will have to decrease due to what? To a decrease in the price of Amara. Members, are we trying to get the concept in the real world?
Yes, very well.
Good. Thomas, are we following? Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. The number of potential buyers. So in a case where buyers are many, the quantity demanded, the demand curve will shift what? To the right, because people are many are readily available to buy the goods. But in case where the potential buyers are few, then the demand curve have to shift where? To the left. Take like, for example, right now we're at campus, students are available and the demand for goods in our TC, the trading center, is so high because the population is high. But now, right, take a scenario when we shall go home, and the majority of people, the potential buyers of Nkozi trading centers are students. Now, when we go back home, the number of potential buyers will reduce, and hence the demand will shift to the left. There will be a decrease or a shift to the left of the demand curve. So, upon looking at demand curve, supply curve, let's also look at the price control. Price controls are government-mandated minimum or maximum prices set for specific goods and services. It takes two forms. So government come in to regulate the prices of specific goods. We have price floor and price ceiling. Price floor is a government-mandated minimum price below which is illegal. Trades cannot be made. Government mandated minimum price below which legal trades cannot be made. So it is a government price that is a minimum price that the government sets, normal above the equilibrium, below which trade cannot take place unless under black market. So a price floor also can be defined as government mandated minimum cost that producers in an industry are allowed to charge for their goods and services, according to Prague 2020. Price floors are intended to ensure that producers receive a stable income while also protecting consumers from unfair price gouging. Example, milk prices are a classic illustration of a price floor. Government often aid in sustaining prices by subsidizing them or compensating farmers directly. This measure is meant to ensure that dairy farms continue operating even when there is an oversupply of milk, which is typically lead to price cuts that stabilize the industry. So that's why you have seen the milk products, whether their supply increases, it is technically difficult for their price to reduce drastically as the law of demand states. This is because the government has come in to set a price floor to protect both the producers and the consumers. So let's look at also the price ceiling. Price ceiling is a government imposed upper limit on the cost of a certain good or services. Price ceiling are designed to protect consumers from unfair pricing practices and price gouging. This according to GALS 1987. So, for example, in the recent ceilings, government may impose rent ceilings on landlords to ensure tenants can afford their housing. Rent ceilings are more common in areas where housing rent is short supply and tenants may be vulnerable to price gouging. Like, without going far, let's look at the scenario around here. The demand for accommodation by students is too high because we have few major hostels like Katonga, Bosa, Kavuma, and Kololo. Those are the major hostels. If could not be an agreement that the university has made with these private hostels, it would be very difficult for us to afford accommodation. Like, take an example. Bosa is charging 500,000. Kavuma 450, Kololo 500, Katonga 500 each, and you share a room. So if it was not the control of the agreement between the university and the private hostel owners, they would even decide to charge us 1 million. And because even we have limited hostels around, we would still pay, or else you do not have accommodation. Like currently, even the campus halls are full. They are full, occupied with the new students and the continuing students. So the rest of us are now outside. So it is the university to continue to make agreement with the private hostel managers around so that the price is regulated so that we are not over-cheated. And that's what we call price ceilings in price control. As it can be seen here, price floor is set above the equilibrium to protect the producers. Just have you seen that it was placed the example of milk suppliers, whether the milk supply increases, still their price cannot grow, cannot go down. This is because of the price floor control. And price ceiling is a government price set below the equilibrium to protect what? The consumers from being overcharged. Supply and shortage. Surplus and shortage. Surplus occurs when there is excess supply, while shortage occurs when there is excess demand. So when demand exceeds supply, we call it shortage. And when supply exceeds demand, we call it excess supply. As you can see here from the graph, surplus is that time where supply
Is excess.
exceeds demand, and below which is shortage, when demand is at higher point than supply. So in real economic, people would wish to operate under the equilibrium where supply and demand is equal, as we have seen. So we can see some reason for the crisis in economic. Shortage, the result of quantity demanded being greater than quantity supplied. Whereas surplus, the result of quantity supplied being greater than quantity demanded. And equilibrium, as we have looked before, is that point when supply and demand are equal. So let's also look at the important aspect of elasticity. Elasticity is the measure of how sensitive quantity demanded or quantity supplied is to change, is to a change in the price. So we are looking at how quantity demanded or quantity supply will be affected by a change in the price. And that's what we call elasticity. So in the first case here, where my arrow is, can you see my cursor? Members, are you seeing the cursor?
Yes, yes, yes.
You can read on, if you can see my cursor, I'm pointing it at elasticity of demand. So at this point, I mean elastic demand. An elastic demand is one in which the change in quantity demanded is due to a change in the price. Due to a change in the price is large. So at this point here, when the price was low, say at P2, the quantity demanded was Q2. But when there was a slight change in the price, that price had to increase to P1. There we realize a great change in the quantity demanded, where quantity demanded shifted from OQ2 to OQ1. So that's what we call elasticity of demand. I mean elastic demand, where a change in the price leads to a greater change in the quantity demanded. And in this case too, it is inelastic demand. Price change causes a little change in demand. This is a scenario where a price may change, but the quantity demanded will slightly reduce. Take for example salt. If salt was at 500, before it was 500, but now it changed to 700. Do you think people reduced in consumption of salt?
No.
No, automatically no. I know in the short period, people try to desist, like they come, what is the price of salt? You tell them 700, they will shy away a bit. But times come, they'll have to do what? To take the way it is, because it is an essential. And elastic demand is one in which the change in quantity demanded due to change in the price is small. Applications of this of what we have been looking at in the real world. Many business, I mean of demand, I mean of elasticity. Many business and economic decisions are not based on something will happen, but by how much will it change by. Example, how much should a business firm rise or lower their prices, and by what? Will total revenue go up or go down? When prices increases, by how much? The effect of public policy will be different depending on elasticity of good in question. For example, how much will the price of a good increase if a tax is placed on it? Those are the application of elasticity in the real world. The tax burden. Who pays an exercise tax? The government places an exercise tax on the supplier of a goods such as tobacco, liquor, and gasoline. Who do you think the tax burden will land on? Exactly the final consumer. Because as the government places a tax, the producer, what the supplier will do, will have to increase the price so that they cover the margin of the tax. Do business firms simply pass the entire tax to the consumer in the form of higher prices? This is called tax shifting, as I've already explained previously. It depends on elasticity of demand and supply. Knowing both elasticity allows economics to determine who pays the greater amount of an excise tax on a seller of a good. So in conclusion, members, markets work best when supply and demand determine the price of a good or service or resources. So at this point, markets works better when we are at the equilibrium. When forces other than supply and demand determine the price of good or services or resources, supply and shortage result. Over time, the forces of supply and demand undermine artificial prices control. Actually, members, thank you for listening, and those who will be watching, thank you for watching. So at this point, I welcome question. If there is any question, supplement, or clarification, I'll be grateful.
Thank you very much, our presenter. We are indeed grateful for what you have presented.
Thomas, do you have a say?
Yes, thank you very much. For me, I have a question.
Yes.
I just want you to explain about black market only. Thanks.
Pardon?
Black market.
Oh, black market. Black market is a scenario whereby government set prices such as the price floor and price ceiling, where like a commodity should be sold. Take like, for example, government set price of sugar to be at 1,500. But there comes a situation or a scenario whereby the supply of sugar becomes low and the demand for sugar increases. People are too many. Thereby, then the supplier or the seller decide to increase the price beyond maybe to 1,700, which is against that one the government has set. So in that case, we call it, if people now start buying sugar at 1,700 other than 1,500, we call it now a black market, an illegal way of trading.
Okay, thank you very much. And then how can the government control black markets in economy?
Thank you very much. That's why we have seen the market surveyors, we have seen the market analysis officers. So there are strict laws that the government put in place. Also, government makes awareness to the consumers that this is the set price, so don't be cheated. So government has kept on campaigning, making awareness of the prices of essential goods to avoid black market.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise, thank you very much for members for tuning in. We've come to the end of the lecture. Until we meet in the next lecture.
You're most welcome.